Hello, I'm Doug Jackson, Chief Compliance Officer at Regions Bank. Regions and I have a 25-year history with the Housing Fund. In fact, Regions was one of the original investors. We look forward to another 25 years of problem solving together.
Since the inception of the Housing Fund, we've always seen our role as trying to step in where there's gaps and to try to find creative solutions to leverage resources, private and public resources. I would say in the years that I've been on the board, the gaps have only gotten greater, so it's challenging.
We are one of the fastest growing metropolitan complexes in America, and there is risk. There's risk of losing your home to gentrification. There's risk of not participating if you're a part of the poor or marginalized populations in Nashville.
We're in a great market, but we're in a market that's higher than most people can afford. So it's almost as though in this city, you can't have a conversation about affordable housing without the Housing Fund being involved.
The Nashville Housing Fund was actually an outgrowth of Nashville's agenda. And that was sort of a community-wide priority-setting process that started in the mid-1990s. And out of that came 21 goals for the 21st century. One of those 21 goals centered around the availability of affordable housing.
This unique idea 25 years ago to help provide quality housing for families here was just something that was unheard of.
And because it was really a long-term projection of what would the whole 21st century need, we're looking for something that was flexible, self-renewing, and could really adapt to changing needs over a century.
We started acquiring land in 1999 in this neighborhood, and our vision has all along been centered around the word neighborhood. We talk often in our office about how important that word is and how meaningful. As opposed to a project or development, we strove to deliver a neighborhood.
After the first few years, we realized that it would be really beneficial for the Housing Fund to actually be a community development financial institution, or CDFI. At the time, the Gulch was really just what Mayor Purcell later called the unnamed interstate from downtown Nashville out to the suburbs. A developer had been named, Market Street Equities, and they were just starting their very first project. And we decided to apply for a special round of tax credits and found this interesting property called Patrick Electric and decided that rather than tear that down, that we wanted a sense of place. We came up out of that with Laurel House.
It's a mixed-use project that has commercial, retail, office, and affordable housing all built into one. And it blends into the neighborhood beautifully, and it was an adaptive reuse of a historic, if you call that, a warehouse building.
It was really the first sort of proof of concept of this idea of changing the Gulch.
I think it was a game changer in this part of Nashville because it brought affordable housing into the city, into an area that we knew was really going to become vibrant. And Laurel House was one of the first things that made it here.
I know it sounds like a cliche, but you just need to look around here where we're standing today and remember that the Laurel House was an early example of trying to do the right thing at the right time to provide that safety net for people.
After the housing meltdown of 2007, 2008, we thought that the worst possible thing was behind us, but no. And so on May 1st, May 2nd, we got 2 1,000-year floods 2 days in a row. There's an interesting rule in the CDFI regulations, again, going back to becoming a CDFI, that allowed us to serve a whole area so long as 51% were low and moderate income. And that allowed us to actually administer and provide funds for people who were literally underwater. And after a housing crisis, their mortgages were underwater.
Our strategic plan requires that the organization and the board of directors as a whole play a strategic role in addressing affordable housing. So we've been able to do that in a number of ways through our down payment assistance program, in which we're providing opportunities for low to moderate income individuals to get into home ownership. We also provide capital for developers that want to build affordable housing to make it more affordable for low to moderate income individuals.
Through our development financing, we've been able to help increase the supply of affordable rental housing.
Either nonprofits that didn't have the ability to get financing in traditional banking situations, and then also small developers. We did a lot of loans for small developers.
Be a Helping Hand provides affordable housing to families at 80% of AMI or below. Most of our projects are grant funded, and we have to have initial capital into our project development costs in order to get moving for acquisition or to do construction. And without the housing fund, it would not be possible. They have come in where others have said, hey, we would love to come in on the back end of your project and put financing to close out the deal, but we need that capital in the beginning.
The Housing Fund is a good partner because they provide a critical role in Nashville's community.
Where the Housing Fund partners with banks who are providing primary mortgages for developments, and the Housing Fund has learned how to be creative and fall into a second or a subordinate position.
That is to help people to either buy a home or to live in affordable housing.
You've got the Housing Resiliency Fund get established with a $2.25 million grant from Amazon, an amazing partnership.
They came to us about innovative ideas. I thought that we have to step in and make a difference on how do we help communities and how do we help families address the increase in property taxes. So the $2 million from Amazon is a way to offset that increase. So now we're providing families with up to about $500 to be able to offset that property tax.
It wasn't always easy, but there were people who were actually being affected by what you did. And I think that that's actually what feeds someone who comes into and gives their all to a nonprofit, is that individual that you don't necessarily even know how that affects them in the long term.
Going back to the flood, that was a great example of us bending over backwards to help people to be able to stay on their home they grew up with. Because for some people, just spending $2,000-$3,000 on repairs can mean the difference between living in a house and having to abandon it. So I'm very proud of all the multifaceted work the fund has done over the years, not only to help people stay on their homes, but to create new opportunities for people to live in the city.
I think it's a tough business because it's a complex problem. Maintaining, preserving affordable housing in a growing city where values are increasing, where you do have population growth, where you have job growth in and around the core, it creates an environment that people want to be in, but it also displaces families, homeowners who have been here, and it's hard to maintain that.
Since inception in 1996, the Housing Fund has provided over 3,700 families the opportunity to be homeowners. Our future is bright. We have projects that we have funded outside of Memphis, Chattanooga, and Knoxville, and we hope to provide capital even more effectively to those developers that are interested in providing affordable housing throughout the state.
I'm Johnny Moore, Tennessee Regional President for Truist Financial. SunTrust, now Truist, has enjoyed a lengthy partnership with the Housing Fund dating back to 1993. We're thrilled to celebrate the Housing Fund 25th anniversary. 25 years of excellence is a great accomplishment. CDFIs such as the Housing Fund are a critical part of the ecosystem to provide decent, affordable housing in low to moderate income communities around the country. We wish you continued success as you are meeting an ever-pressing need in the marketplace. Thank you.